Hello everybody. So here we are, alive again. Live and alive. Beautiful Sunday. I hope you all had a great week and ready for some mind stretching here with Shlomo on Sundays. So let's see, I don't have the comments here. Okay, where did they go? Ah, there we go. Perfecto. Let's see how we can arrange this better. Okay. Stephanie, Sonke, Itamar, Habibi. Surprises today. Konstantinos, Ocean Mist, hi. Yeah. All right. So today, actually it's the 5th time. I don't believe it, how fast it goes. So today, the first thing I'll do is answer the questions you posted on the blog. And hi Linda, hi Default, Abundance. So Konstantinos is waiting for my bombs of wisdom. I didn't know I had those, but I guess one never sees himself, needs a mirror, and you are the mirror. Okay. So let me go straight into the questions here. I think that would be the best thing to do because there's a few of them and some of them are very long. And I want to have time left to answer your questions here. All right, so the first question I have here is from David. And it's asking, one question I have, maybe I can bring it closer here so I can look at you. One question I have is, do you believe that an individual's highest and most fulfilling function in life is ultimately open-ended, meaning something to be determined and worked out by the individual? Or is it predetermined, something to be discovered and followed? Or is the truth somewhere in the middle? I would say the truth is somewhere in the middle, but for a different reason than what you think. It's not because you got anything predetermined. You know, Stephen Hawking once was asked about is everything predetermined, and he said, well, or somebody actually claimed that everything is predetermined, and he said, let's see you cross a busy highway without looking if everything is predetermined. So obviously it's not predetermined like that. What is predetermined is actually your personality. And your personality makes a lot of decisions for you right from the day you are born. Because it's kind of a destiny. And on the other hand, you have yourself with your free will and your mind and everything else, and you can drive that personality, but it's a combination, because with a certain personality you usually go on a certain path, and you determine that path, but you don't change the fundamentals of the personality. So that's the personality, by the way, can change, but only under extreme situations like near-death experience and so on. That will change your personality for sure. All right, next question. Anna. Dear Shlomo, I have several questions. First, what's your view of heaven and hell? because so far I knew religious explanation, but since I discovered these topics, universe, higher power, that God is actually that higher energy, which again we are made of, now do not know to explain it anymore. Well, that's a very heavy-duty topic, and I think you can read probably for 3 months and still not find everything about it. But I'll tell you what my take on it is. And I think that I actually talked about it in one of my videos. When a person dies, their consciousness is still there. And that consciousness can actually experience or relive every experience that they ever had in life. This is really what you can do after you die. That's my take on it. I never died and came back, so I'm not saying that's how it is. But that's my understanding. So your consciousness can relive everything you did in your life, but you cannot create any more new experiences. But what happens is, you see, in this life, here, your avatar, your ego, your personality and everything blinds you, and you're not objective to what is good and what is bad. You don't really know what is good and bad. Some people think it's good, to torture people. But when you become a consciousness, you know what is good and what is bad at the highest level, at the God level. Like you know. And if you did bad things according to this judgment or observation, then every time you relive those experiences, it will be hell for you. And vice versa. If you relive experiences which are deemed good, then you will feel great, and that will be heaven. And the thing is, why it's said that it's forever? It's not really forever, but as long as somebody remembers you here in the avatar material world, you're going to keep reliving these things until you are totally forgotten on this earth. Like, people don't talk to you about you anymore, and then you are gone. Okay? So somebody who, like, take Adolf Hitler, right? He'll never be forgotten, so he's in hell forever. Okay, so that's my answer on that one. The second question here from Anna. Shlomo, you said that change is necessary. Does that mean that a person who is introvert and satisfied with it, ordinary life, that's not correct behavior? Or because today is preached travel, experience more partners, looks, partying, just like Hinduism. So if you behave opposite to that, you do not live life properly. You're boring when there are people who are satisfied without all of this. Does that mean they live wrong? Okay, I get the point. No, nobody lives wrong as long as they create something. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be party or, If you are an introvert, you can create poetry. You don't have to see anybody, and you can excite millions of people, right? I mean, many of the famous people that made a huge change and difference in this world, they were introverts. It's just that they do it in a different way. They don't go and dance in the center of town, right? Naked to get attention. So as long as you do something that I would say moves things around in this physical reality, then you fulfill that mission of change. Okay? Also, you mentioned that internet, how everything now is possible in jobs and all. But today people use TikTok, YouTube, Instagram as a way to earn money. There are more and more people who do not want to work ordinary jobs and learn any skills. And okay. Also, do you see a problem of this TikTok, Instagram? There's like plenty of information and everything, but in essence, Not many know a lot about anything. Well, every generation has a different reality, and many times people go into this nostalgia thing and they say, when I was a kid, we used to play and we touched each other and we spent the whole day outside and it was a personal experience and so on and so on and so on. And today the kids are just sitting and from age probably just past 1 year, they're already on the tablet because parents also, it's convenient for them. But this is just a generation thing. We evolve as humans. And I do not think that most of the people in the world would want to go back to those days and give up everything else they have today. There's absolutely no way. Okay? Even you, Anna, if you were pushed back to your, young age and you would have known what is possible, you would want to come back. Because humanity arrived here not because of somebody forcing us. We arrived here because that's what we wanted. And we went slowly developing all these things because that's what we wanted. If we didn't want it, then nobody could sell it to us. Like there would be no TikTok if nobody wanted it, right? So this is just today's reality. And everybody has to live in today's reality and do whatever they can do with this reality. And what I'm saying is that today on the internet, you have all the tools to create anything you want. You can become a billionaire, you can become whatever. It's just that it goes back to the personality and your ambition and your will to invest energy or invest your life into a project. Like if you decide, most of you, if you decided to become Jeff Bezos and have a high, be very rich, if you devoted your life to it from the age of, 30, 20, you would get to it. Maybe not 100%, but you would achieve most of it. And that's what I mean by everything is possible today. It's just that you have to open your mind. It's whatever you cannot imagine is not possible for you. That's the problem. So it's more of a mindset. It's just that today we have the tools. Okay, next question from Matteo. Matteo, the artist from Italy, the greatest artist. Matteo, you are really a great artist. So Matteo is asking a few elements that I think could be cool to bring to this discussion. 1, do animals and other living beings, such as trees, have the same relationship as we have to what we call God? Well, the short answer is, you have to be a tree or an animal to get the real answer. Right? There is no way we can answer. I have a dog here for 15 years and I still don't know what he's thinking. I would say that, in my opinion, animals, like I'm not talking about trees. Trees is a little bit too far to go. I don't think trees can actually think. But animals, they don't have much of an avatar, like a local presence here, even though it looks that way. I think that animals, and the smaller they get, the more so they actually are almost 100% pure consciousness. They live in the collective consciousness. What you see here is a very small percentage of that. And that's why most dogs, for example, copy their owner's character. Like I walk my dog now, like I say, for 15 years, and I meet lots of people with dogs, and I can, I read faces. I can read dogs' faces too. I know what the dog thinks. Like what's on the dog's mind, if he wants to bite me or whatever. And I can see that most of the dogs copied the owner's character. If the owner is an introvert, the dog is an introvert. He doesn't want to play with anybody, just, and if the owner is like happy and talks to people, the dog is the same way. So the animals, like I said, they are, we say here, that's why dogs and cats sense, that's right, Kaliko is saying here, that's why cats and some dogs can sense ghosts present. I wouldn't go that far as ghosts because I don't know if there is such a thing, but dogs, I can tell you for sure that they can sense, and it has nothing to do with the sense of smell or anything. They can sense things through the collective consciousness that we cannot, unless you are a psychic or something. They can sense like a person character instantly. So now back to the question, if how I'm going to lower the volume here a little bit. I think it's too high. Okay, how do they perceive God? Maybe you are their God. If you have a pet, you probably are their God. Like, I don't think, you see, animals, and many people ask me, like, you have to live in the moment. And I always say, look, my dog lives in a moment. Absolutely. Like, he doesn't have any mortgages, and he doesn't have any obligations. He doesn't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and he doesn't remember what happened last year. So obviously they live in the moment, right? So for them to come up with something like God, I don't think that's a possibility. But again, it's you will have to become a dog or a cat to answer that question. It's not possible to answer it. Okay, number 2 from Matteo. There is a rise in virtual reality technologies as well as in the widespread use of mind-altering substances and medical plans for Itamar. That's for you. For psychological and physical rebalancing. Are those attempts to know God and the truth about life, or just a diversion? Well, the answer is very simple. You see, like, if you watched my last video, not the live video, when I'm talking about the 4 boundaries of this reality, and I divide the human into a consciousness and an avatar, right? So what happens is, any of these substances, what they really do is they block the senses of the avatar, and by doing so, open the channel between the avatar and the consciousness. So when people take drugs or any technologies to alter the mind, all they really do is they squash or squelch the 5 senses, but they still fully alert and aware. So all this awareness and alertness goes into the consciousness. And because the consciousness is connected to the collective consciousness, to God, and it knows everything and it can see everything, all of a sudden it opens up a different world. It opens up, call it the truth, even though it's still maybe painted a little bit by the person, modified, but this is, you can call it more of the truth, because it's what your consciousness can see. All right. These are more questions from Matteo, but I'll answer them personally. So we have another question here, for which I actually prepared a little slide, and this is from Christy. When I think of some extreme controversial news stories where there is disagreement or whether a certain event was either staged or actually happened, I am struck by how, whether they personally witnessed it or not, people believe one explanation of what occurred over another, one of which is labeled a conspiracy theory and the other as an attempt by government to enslave you. Am I correct? In thinking that there is no absolute truth behind physical events, but that all scenarios are equally true, and each individual person or consciousness chooses which explanation to accept, and therefore it becomes true for them. But actually all are both true and false, and neither true or false. We are making this reality up as we go along? ? Okay, so I'll show you something here that I actually prepared. You see, the whole world, 7.8 billion people, they all walk there on this white surface. Okay, I only took a picture of some of them, but imagine there is 7.8 billion there. And see, each one is going in a direction. Okay, and I would say that every individual goes in a different direction. When I say goes, it's like goes through life, right? And every one of those individuals believes that they are going in the right direction. Otherwise, why would they go there, right? And many of them are trying to convince others that this is the right direction. And that others should go their way, especially religions, right? They come and tell you, oh, you're going the wrong way, you're walking the wrong way, you're going to go to hell. And we talked about hell and so on. So the answer is yes. It's there are some, I'm talking now about this reality, okay? There are some acceptable standards, what's good and what's bad, and what's true and what's not true. And that is determined, I would say, by the majority. So if 99% of the people in the world think that the earth is round, and there's 1% that thinks that it's flat, then the truth, okay, and I'm not saying what is the truth, but the truth is perceived as the one that's accepted by 99% of the people, not by the 1%. Okay, and everything is that way in this reality. So the majority usually determine what is true and what is false. So if the majority says that this is a conspiracy theory thing, then the other person stays in the minority and they believe in what they believe, and that's that. Usually everybody dies with their beliefs. They can never prove it because that's what they believe. It's like a person that has a mental illness, right? It's exactly the same thing. If somebody has a mental illness, they believe in certain things, there's absolutely no way that you can convince them otherwise, because that's the reality. So yes, it is kind of making his reality as we walk along. All right, that's last question here. Sonia is asking, is God under nothingness? Well, I think that most people don't understand, not most people, I would say all people in the world don't understand what is nothingness. And I talk about it quite a bit in some of my videos, and I will be talking about it much more in this upcoming two last chapters of the book. But nothingness is nothing. So there is no under or over or in or beside, because it's nothing. And I will post again in here in the description. There's a short video that somebody made. Is amazing. Like, I think it's a minute or 2 minutes about nothingness. It's a very, very powerful video, and many people in the comments on that video said that it put them in some kind of a situation they couldn't think, like it blew their mind away. And the reason for it is that in this reality that we live in, there is no such thing. Everything is something. We can deal with the infinity, even though that also is a mind-bending thing, but we cannot deal with nothingness because there is no such thing in this reality. And the only way you can actually think about it, you have to think like God or something. You have to get out of your human thinking in order to comprehend what nothingness is. Even saying nothingness is incorrect, because our language is not that doesn't have a way to explain or to express what nothingness is. So the best way I can explain it is to answer the question here, is that God is consciousness, is a consciousness or is consciousness, right? And consciousness does not need any matter to exist. So it can exist, again, in nothingness, I'm saying, because that's how our language goes, but it's not correct. It can exist even when there is nothing. Okay? So God is not under or above or beside nothingness. God is a consciousness, and it doesn't require anything to exist. And that also answers the questions, like people say, okay, so who made God? Or where does God come from? Or where... God, nobody made God, and God doesn't come from anywhere. Same as nothingness. Nobody made nothingness, and it doesn't come from anywhere. It was always there, because it's nothing, right? It's a tricky one. Like I said, I'll post that video, and you can watch it and try to figure out what nothingness is. All right. So before I go to your questions here, and I see there is quite few, I'm trying to see where does it show many people are here, but I don't see it. Okay. So I want to talk about a few topics of my own, just to get you thinking for the week. Just a minute. Okay, there we go. Just wanted to talk quickly about miracles. And that has to do with reality transurfing. I'll tell you a short story. Many of them probably heard it, but it's a good demonstration about miracles and how they happen. So there was a flood in this little town, and people started going up to higher levels because the water went up. And this priest, he went on a roof, and the water got almost to the roof. And he said, God, I am a priest. I did all these good things. I'm sure that you will save me. And he wasn't worried at all. Okay, so then some people went by with a boat and tried to get him down, and he said, no, God is going to save me. And then, a crew with the helicopter came over, and he wouldn't get on. He said, no, God will save me. Eventually, he drowned. And then when he died and he went to God, he asked God, he said, why didn't you save me? And God said, what do you mean? I sent you the boat, I sent you the helicopter. What do you want me to do? So the thing with miracles is that most of them happen and appear in a regular way, like in a natural way. Just like you try to manifest something, and then it happens, but it happens in such a way that it doesn't look like it's from your manifestation, because you expected the thing to just land on your desk in the morning as a miracle, but it doesn't work that way. It actually happens through the reality will always bring any miracle in a way that looks totally natural, and then you say, so I didn't really manifest it, it just happened. But no, this is how miracles happen, and you have to comprehend it, and not to expect for a miracle when you try to manifest something, because then it will not going to happen. Accept the fact that it will happen in a natural way through reality, just like anything else. And it will happen. The end result will be the same, but most people don't like to accept that. So that's just the point I wanted to make about miracles. Going back to this present moment thing, I said that there is no such thing, because all you do is just take the future and you move it to the past, right? And some people say, well, while it's moving by you, this is the present. Well, it's very thin. So I really don't think that you can leave the present moment. You can always live at the edge of the future, right? Because when you walk, what do? You look at your foot and you look where you're going to put it next. This is your now. Okay. Another thing I wanted to talk about is, and it goes back to this individuality and uniqueness of a person. You see, we get a lot of diamonds in life. From the universe, from God, from reality transurfing, there's lots of diamonds in it. But when you receive a diamond, what do you do with it? Like, you cannot do anything with a diamond, even though it's very precious. You have to put it into something that reflects your individuality, your personality, and that something would be jewelry, right? So you have to take those diamonds that come to you from the universe or anywhere else, and you have to put them, I think there's a word for it. It's not to install, but I forget what the word is, but you have to install them into a jewelry that you designed or you ordered or you imagine, and then the diamond is actually your individual piece, and it has a meaning. But diamond, you're not going to go on the street with the diamond in your hand and show it to people, right? And that's the same thing here. Anything you get is a diamond, but you have to install it into your personality and work with it that way, in your unique way. Don't take it like if Tufti I'm going into this reality transurfing thing. If Tufti says that you have some kind of a plate here, and it goes up, and anything you ask, it will bring. That's a diamond, but you have to do it your own way. You have to install it into your own jewelry. If you try to do it exactly like the book says, that may work for the author because that was his jewelry. It's not going to work for you, most likely. Okay. There's another question here that I missed. Okay. Gigia, happiness crew. So you don't believe that happiness can be generated inside us? Is it only external? Maybe I talked about it last time. Anyway, the answer is that it is generated always inside you, but it's the diamonds from the external that fuel it. Okay, it's a combination. Another thing, why do people, or we all, become news junkies? Many people just, and it will be usually the people, like older people that are retired or have nothing to do. They will watch news all day long, especially now with the Ukraine war and everything. And I was kind of wondering, why do people do that? And I think the answer is because they don't create anything or don't create enough of their own. And it's much easier to sit there and kind of connect through the TV to the war, say, in Ukraine, and you feel like you are there. And this is in lieu, instead of actually doing something by yourself. So it's not very healthy. And I'll explain in a minute why. Let's see if I can do it here. Yeah, you can see my phone. Okay. That famous line that I always draw, then I say that, okay, I drew a line here on the screen on the iPhone, and I ask, okay, did I draw that line? And most people say, yes, of course, you just did. And I say, no, I didn't. Because what I did, I just moved my finger on the screen, and the screen sensed where my finger was, and then it sent it to the computer in the iPhone, and the computer came back and drew that line. I didn't draw the line. And reality is the same way. You continuously send your request into the collective consciousness, and you get back the line, but you didn't draw it. The line is influenced by the computer. Like if the computer was programmed here to draw the line in zigzag instead of straight, or in a different color, then it would come out that way. You have no control over it, right? You only have control of what you do with your finger. And this relates to these news junkies, is because what happens, you keep sending that request always. Hi, David Ganor. I missed you, dear. I know you were here before. You keep sending that line into the collective consciousness, requesting a certain reality. So if you move your hand, you request a reality where you can see your hand moved. Now this is far-fetched, but this is how it works. And in that line, it's quite sophisticated. You also send continuously, how much do you want to be alive? How much do you want to live? Like how many things are there that you want to still do? And so your energy, your will to stay in this reality is also in that line. Now when you stop producing, you stop changing, you stop, like you retire, you just sit there and watch the news, what goes out in the line is way less willingness to stay alive. And what you get back is all the components that shorten your lives. So keep that in mind. Now, another line that I want to show you, that you probably all saw it on my videos, but I want to show you something very interesting. So remember I said that there is, actually, you know what, I can do it on the screen here. Let me just try to do it on the screen. It will be more effective. Just 1 second. Okay. I can actually bring the iPhone on the screen, I think. Just give me a second here. See, it's very stressful when you look for a connector and a cable while you're on a live. Okay, so let me see if I can bring the iPhone here. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, I always come up with this. I say there is a horizontal line. Oh, that's a thick line. Let me change the pen here. There is a horizontal line that you can call it of impossibilities or possibilities. And then everything that's above that line, right, is perceived by you, or actually not by you, more by your consciousness, subconscious, as impossible. Like, flying or I'll change the pen to a thinner one. Like flying or jumping off a building and floating in the air and or making $1 billion in 1 week. All these things, like they look impossible, and they are actually above that line of impossibilities. But anything that you can do, that that's possible, goes under that line, right? So if you want to make a cup of coffee or you want to call somebody on the phone, that's all below the line. It's a no-brainer. You can do it, right? And the line, I'll tell you what the line is in a metaphor. And you can probably then move lots of things from above the line, under the line. I'm sure most people do, and I do, have a height fear. Like if I go over 20 meters up, I start to I'm afraid to move. I get scared. Always did, right? So if I walk on a curb, which is at the ground level, I can walk on it and I never fall. I have excellent balance. But if you raise that curb to, say, 100 meters up, hey, there's no way I go on it for any price. And it's still the same thing, right? But I cannot walk on it. And this line is exactly the same thing. It depends how high you put it, how high you perceive it. It's your perception. Anything that's up there, theoretically, you can actually achieve. It's just that it's like me with the height. You're afraid to go up there. So there we are. Keep that in mind. That line is virtual. And accept some rules in this reality, in this universe, that don't allow you to do certain things, because then you will destroy the reality, right? If you walk on the street and start to fly all of a sudden, then this world is not going to be the same anymore. It will change in ways that maybe God doesn't like. So he put some rules in there for you not to destroy the reality. But everything else is possible, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, now I'm going to come to your questions here. And I will put them on the screen as we talk. Actually, let's see, I can probably put the whole thing on the screen here. Let me just try that. Comments. There we go. Let's see if I can fix it here. No, it actually doesn't work. Okay, it put the comments for some reason. Okay, let me try that. Okay, so now we have the comments, but we don't have me. Okay, well, anyway, but I cannot scroll them here, so it doesn't really help. Okay, we'll go back here. All right, I will bring the comments one at a time. I mean the questions. What was the greatest, biggest experience? This is by Clarissa. What was the greatest, biggest experience that happened to you that shifted your perspective on the way you see things in life very intensely? Well, for me, I always say that people don't change, and I changed in a big way, but it could be that I didn't really change. It's just that what happens is we are born with a personality, and then it's like an onion. We build all these skins around it, and we cover it more and more and more as we go, but the personality is still in there. And one day something happens, and for me it was a personal crisis. I separated from my wife, and all of a sudden they moved out with the kids, and it was a big shock for me, for my system. And I think what that does, it blows away those covers, the onion covers, and all of a sudden you stay with your naked personality, the one you received at the very beginning. And that's what happened to me. So most likely I was like that, but then going through life, I built all these skins, and I lost lost touch with my real personality, my real consciousness, or whatever it is. So that would be the answer. And once that happened to me, I became a different person, totally different person. But again, it could very well be that that's what I was originally when I was born, or a young age, until a certain age when, you know. Okay, next one. What was the greatest, biggest experience? Okay, that we answered. So Kaliko, when you say, I guess that they can access more of the electromagnetic spectrum than us humans, well, I guess you're referring to this to the animal thing. If you really want to understand reality, you have to get rid of all this physics and you know, that everything is physical and everything, you know, is can be explained by science, because you know. Now, I am running on a battery on this camera, so if it dies on me, bear with me, it will take me 20 seconds, I'll replace it, but everything will become blank here. I'm going to fix that problem, but right now it runs like for an hour, hour and a half, so we are still good. You know, I in one of my videos, I give an example, and with a sealed clock. And you know what? I'll get the clock just to demonstrate it to you. There we go. You probably see the clock all the time. It's hanging, it's hanging there in the kitchen. So imagine you have this clock, okay? And imagine that this clock is totally sealed. Like there's absolutely nothing, no intelligence in this universe that can crack it open. Can see the face of it and the hands and the time and everything, but nobody can open it. And let's say you take it to some galaxy, some planet where there are beings there with extremely high intelligence, like they are few like billion years ahead of us. And you take that clock up there and you tell them, look guys, maybe they're not guys, but look, here is this clock. You cannot open it, but I want you take 10 of the smartest people on your planet here, and I will come back in a year, and I want to get a report from these 10 people what's in this clock. Like, how does it work? What does it do? So you leave the clock, and you come after a year, and you get 10 big folders with reports from these geniuses there, and you come back home just like a teacher comes home with exams from the class, right? And you open. And you realize very quickly that they all designed a clock that will do whatever this clock does in a way that you could never imagine. I mean, it's so advanced. But you also realize that none of them came anywhere close to explain what's in that clock. They have no clue. And, you know, science is the same way. It can recreate and it can explain existing stuff. And if you do something that science, you know, analyzed, it will work for you. But science has no clue, exactly like these beings didn't have, what really is in this reality. It's zero. So when you say that you know, the animals have better sense for electromagnetic fields, this is science. It has nothing to do with the electromagnetic fields here. It's exactly like that clock. You're looking and you're saying, okay, it shows the hour. Okay, but what's in it? Anyway, that's just my favorite metaphor with this clock. Camden Hill, how important is growing up to creating and exploring? Well, we discussed that. You know, this is not important. This is the essence of life. This is the purpose of you and me being here. Infinite potential, that's right. Ocean mist. 40 people are here. Oh, okay. I guess that was earlier. That's nice. Logic Pack. Hi, Shlomo. Finally, I get some time with hearing the guys alive. Okay, good. Finally. Any more question? What does it mean when you keep seeing synchronicity? Zainab. Okay. I think we talked about it earlier, and not today, but we talked about it. Synchronicity is a very tricky thing because, you know, we create reality. So if you create reality, it means, like, for example, if you think about somebody and they call you, right? The reason for it is that when you think about them, your thought goes up to your consciousness, and from there it's connected to the collective consciousness, right? And the person you think about is also there. It's also connected there. And it downloads to their consciousness that energy, that wave, that whatever it is that you are thinking about them. And without knowing why or what, they call you. So, synchronicity is more, I think, it happens when you are in a position, or when you are connected more to your collective, to your consciousness, than you are connected here to this reality. Is when you get more spiritual, when you like, say, if somebody is psychic, they have lots of synchronicities, because the thoughts they have actually become a reality. And how the universe does it, well, that's a different question. Okay. So a person could actually fly without plane if they just could convince their subconscious mind that it can? Yes, with the limitations that I mentioned before. Like if it's going to destroy our illusion, then it's not going to happen, because that would be against the rules. Okay, so maybe if you are all by yourself on some island, it can happen, but you will never be able to prove it to anybody, because this is where the rules come in and don't let you do it. Arti Sharma, what are your views on improving height after a certain age? Please don't say wear heels. No, I don't say wear heels. I would say wear heels in your mind. Don't need physical heels. You see, it's easier said than done, but a person should rely on their personality and not how they look. There is the perfect example. There is some, I forget his name, the person that has no arms and no legs. He was born that way, and he's a public speaker. He's got wife and kids, and he's totally amazing. You can see his videos on YouTube. And, he doesn't have any height. He can't even stand. He has no legs. But if you look at him, he's got amazing personality. So when you start to rely on anything physical to improve your looks because you think it will bring you more success, all you are doing, you are attracting the people that also rely on these things. And it's not necessarily the best people to attract. So keep that in mind. There's lots of people that don't have any height, or don't have this, or don't have that, but they are amazing personalities and they have amazing lives. So I would this is my answer to that. Don't focus on how to improve height. Are you familiar with the Marilyn Manson song Reflecting God? It has some pretty interesting lyrics. Okay, I'll look into it. Default abundance. What was the biggest thing you learned about parallel realities, and how do they all exist at once? They don't. Anything that is presented as a theory that can never be proven, I don't even waste my time looking at it, because it's a waste of time. You can come up with any imagination you want. What do you mean parallel realities? Why do you think there are parallel realities? Like, where does that come from? Why would there be parallel realities? It doesn't, to me, again, like I said, it's a certain percentage of people think that way. It comes from the string theory. If anybody knows about, the string theory was here to explain what is the fundamental particle in the universe. And the string theory came up with and actually it managed to unite the Einstein relativity theory with the quantum world, because nothing can unite it. Like they don't agree with each other. And this string theory fixed that problem, but it fixed it paying a price that there are these parallel realities. that has to be, in order for this theory to work, it has to have 10 dimensions at least, some of them 11, and it has, and as a result, mathematically, they get these parallel universes, and that started to spread, and it became kind of a popular thing to say, there's parallel realities, and you are there, and you are in every position. You can imagine what you like, but again, to me, I don't think there is such a thing, and if there is, it's irrelevant, because you can never prove it. Because whatever you do, you are in that reality at that moment, and that's all that counts. Whatever other reality is there, if you cannot experience it, doesn't exist. Mark Franzen, can you tell us when it started and why you believe this? Your introduction to your book, you say you can look at this channel as a manual for the next reality, which is right around the corner. It's actually started. Can you tell us when it started? That will definitely finish my battery in the camera here. But I will try to answer it as short as I can in a way that still makes sense. Can you tell us when it started and why you believe this? Okay, so when you ask, I think what you're asking is when did the change start, not when reality started. I have many explanations to it, and it's all going to be in this book very, very soon, but I'll take one of them. You see, I am like 100% believer in the thing that we call God. Like, to me, it's there, it exists, and I have absolutely no doubts. Again, it's not in a religious way, but in say, higher intelligence, right? And I believe that higher intelligence is actually experiencing everything here by being here. It disconnected itself from knowing that it's higher intelligence, because that's the only way it can experience what's here, right? And I think that the way this was set up is in order to get us to create experiences and not sit and watch TV all day long. It created what we call conflicts in this world, and you can find that in the Old Testament, in the Torah. It's all inciting conflicts between people, and it's not a bad thing. Like religions try to hide it because they think, oh, God cannot do that, but God does it. He tells the Israelites, when you get to Canaan, which is your promised land, you have to kill everybody that's there. The babies, the cows, the goats, everything. You don't leave anything alive. Well, what is that if not seeding conflict, right? And that worked for a few thousand years. All the conflicts in the world created the reality we are in. When you start from 2,000 years ago, even up until now. But the problem is that the experiences that are created by those conflicts, there's nothing new in them anymore. Like, we got to the point where the conflict doesn't create any new experiences for what we call God. It's passé. And that's why there is all these theories, the Messiah and the Mayan calendar, that this reality ends. It has to end, and there has to be a new way to create experiences. The conflict concept doesn't work anymore. Okay, we're just going to destroy ourselves, but all the suffering and all the happiness that can be created with it already got created, was created. So the next stage is creating experiences by creativity. And it's a totally different dimension. It's a totally different reality. And some people may not be able to be there, and they will be passed out. But this is the reason why I believe it. That's one of the reasons. I have many reasons, but that's the one that's easy to explain, is that the reality got to a point where it does not deliver anymore, and it needs to be changed in order to continue and deliver both for God, but it's us. God and us, there's no difference. Like, most people are tired of this. Like, how many people like the war in Ukraine? And you just sit there and say, whoa, what's with this Putin guy, right? What does he want? Well, if it was 1,000 years ago, you probably take a big sword or something and you run and fight. Okay. And greeting from the woods. I am also glad you made it. Mr. Artist, I like your hat here, the blue hat in the picture. Amazing. Doesn't Reality Transurfing talk about parallel realities? Maybe it does. So what? It's somebody called Vadim Zeland that thinks so. I am Shlomo Friedman, and I don't think so. So, any tips on how to connect more with the global consciousness? Well, the best way to connect with the global consciousness is to stop sweating the small stuff. The less you sweat the small stuff, the more you will connect to the big stuff. It's quite simple. And instead of asking how things work, or how, ask why. So if you see something, don't ask how does it work, like science. Say, why is it there? Who put it there? For what purpose? That's how you connect. Judy Leo, things are moving slow in my reality since I hit rock bottom financially, trying to speed up positive manifestation. Think I'm adding too much importance. In your words earlier, I am bare. Any advice? And I'm sure that probably many people would ask the same question in different ways. Look, if you are hiking on a ridge of mountains and you are at the very, very top, just going like, say, 7,000 feet above sea level, and this is where you are hiking, you cannot go any higher, right? You can only go down. But if you're at the bottom and there's all these mountains, you can climb any mountain you want, because you're at the very bottom. Like anywhere you go, you will gain altitude. So you have to look at it that way. Being at the bottom, all it means is that you have more potential than anybody that's higher than you, because they have less altitude to climb. And I know it's easier said than done, but you have to take that attitude. Because if you look, say, I'm at the bottom and I cannot get out, it's like a well and I cannot climb out, then you cannot climb out. This is your decision what you want to think. If you think that you can actually from here to go higher only, you cannot go any lower, that will take you one place. And if you think that you are, like I said, in a well and there is no way to get out, that will take you another place. So, it's up to you. What I did, because I was in that situation once, big time, and what I did, I found it in some book, self-help book, yeah, and I wrote on a half a page. I wrote all the good things about me. I was 50 at that time, and I said, you are 50. You got all this experience. You know what not to do anymore. I wrote all the good things about me. Not too much, like maybe 10 things, and I read it to myself aloud a few times a day, and that somehow reprograms your subconscious. It's amazing what it does. Just write down a few things about yourself, good things, and why you should succeed, and there is always something there, and read it to yourself aloud. Obviously, when there's nobody around, otherwise they will hospitalize you, and just read it aloud and do it for 2 weeks, and you will be totally surprised how it will change your attitude. When I did that, after 2 weeks, things started moving, and I got out. I was in debt at that time, like over $300,000. I had no job. I had 3 sons that were in private school. I couldn't pay for them. This is as low as it gets. I didn't have money to put gas in my car. Okay, that was after the big .com crashed. I lost everything and I got into this debt. And I know my father-in-law was he's an engineer, he was vice president of a big oil company, and he said to me, go find a job. You're sinking. And I said to him, let's say that somebody is willing to pay me, that I don't have any kind of titles or any kind of a profession to talk about, and they pay me, let's say, $150,000 a year, which at that time was huge money. Okay, so I will, after tax and everything, I will manage to save maybe $10,000 every year. And I owe $300,000. So I have 30 years just to pay my debts. Like, what are you sending me to get a job, right? It doesn't work. Eventually, I found something to do on my own, and I paid everything, and I got all my kids out of school, and everything was fine. But this reading to myself was one of the key things that helped me. So keep that in mind. All right. Calico, I really enjoyed these Sunday talks. Let me put it up here because this is nice. Thanks a lot. There you go. I forgot. I should have put all these questions up there, but next time. Okay, well, if you don't have any more questions, I think that actually we covered quite a bit today, probably more than any other video that I made. It's just because of you. So thank you all for being here. This is great. I really enjoy it. The first few times I was quite stressed, but now I'm looking forward. Like Friday, I get excited already to come and see you all here and show you how smart I am. All right. Well, have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday at the same time. Bye.